Hey guys, I'm back with another MLB rundown, which I do every Friday, and in this one we have some bad news. You have probably heard all about the virus that has affected us around the world. The pandemic has caused multiple countries to basically go on lockdown, and part of the procedure countries are taking around the world is limiting the gathering of large crowds of people. Sports in particular gather large crowds of people, and because of this, sports have had to take unprecedented precautions to combat the spread of the virus. There is a laundry list of major sports leagues suspending or canceling their seasons. The NBA has suspended its season indefinitely, in part because the NBA player Rudy Gobert from the Utah Jazz got the virus. Then fellow Jazz player Donovan Mitchell had also tested positive for the virus. The team was scheduled to play a game that night, but it got canceled because of the news. And it sounds like the players and the team staff were quarantined in the arena to stop from a possible spreading of the virus. The NHL has also taken action to pause its season until further notice because of the virus. Major League Soccer, who just started their season, will be taking a 30-day suspension from games because of the virus. The XFL announced Thursday that it has indefinitely suspended its inaugural season after 5 games due to the virus outbreak, but that they plan to return in 2021. In pro tennis, the 2020 BNP Paribas Open Tennis Tournament canceled because of an outbreak of the virus. The PGA Tour announced canceling 2020 Players' Championship. The National Lacrosse League has suspended operations because of the virus. Champions League games in Europe have been postponed. The Premier League season has been suspended until April 3rd at the earliest. NASCAR has suspended Sunday's race at Atlanta Motor Speedway and next week at Homestead Miami Speedway. IndyCar opener at St. Petersburg will be closed to fans, but the race will continue. NCAA has canceled March Madness, which is extremely upsetting for those student athletes who have been looking forward to this their whole lives. The NCAA has canceled the College World Series, which will possibly affect the MLB draft. And the MLB has canceled the rest of spring training, and they have announced that they will be pushing the beginning of the regular season back at least 2 weeks. Even though this is an MLB rundown, I wanted to mention all of these sports leagues who are affected by the virus just to show the magnitude of what this virus has done to sports and entertainment. And I'm probably still forgetting some leagues that are also being affected by the virus. I don't know what ESPN will talk about for the next month. They'll have to scrap together whatever sports are still going on. This also affects MLB Network, who will have nothing to talk about except continuing to talk about the effects of the pandemic on baseball. This pandemic is not only affecting professional sports, but also high school sports around the world. The season's being suspended or even flat out canceled. I also want to talk about the specific effects that this virus has on MLB baseball. First, I want to talk about the schedule. So far, we know that spring training has been canceled and that it is both in Arizona and Florida. We know that opening day will be pushed back, and the MLB has stated at least 2 weeks, but of course, that number could go up. We do not know if they will push back these games and the season, or if they will just cancel the games they miss and have less than a 162-game season, or if they will make up the games during the season. We have not gotten word yet on how MLB baseball will be solving the problem of the MLB schedule. When the MLB puts out a statement about the schedule, I will be sure to tell you and explain what is happening. Of course, if they push the games back, then every series will be affected, including the MLB All-Star Game, as if the season is pushed back, then the All-Star Game could be played on a different date than when it was initially scheduled for. And that goes for every series throughout the season, as the initial dates would be changed, which also conflicts with TV deals. Similar to the All-Star Game, if the season is pushed back, that means the playoffs and World Series would need to be pushed back and could possibly make the October Classic into a November Classic, and another Mr. November. The players are going to be heavily affected by this change of no spring training, as they have already started to get primed and ready for a 162-game season. And with spring training being canceled and opening day date up in the air, it is hard for players to stay ready for the season that awaits them. The late start could help players that would have been started the season on the IL, like Aaron Judge and the rest of the Yankees injured list. The late start could help players that would have started the season on the IL, like Aaron Judge and the rest of the Yankees injured list, as players who were scheduled to come back 2 weeks to a month after the start of the regular season could be ready for opening day. A shortened or pushback season will affect the economy, with TV stations losing programming, with that, less chances for advertisements at games or on TV broadcasts. People who work at the MLB ballparks or do news on MLB games will be affected, with no games to report on and no games for employees to work at. This also brings into effect the loss of revenue from fans going to games and spending at games. With that, I want to talk about the fans who have been anxiously waiting for the start of the season just to hear the news that the season will be getting pushed back. Obviously, it's getting pushed back for a good reason, but we are still upset. Fans will not be able to go to an MLB game for most likely over a month, possibly late into April and maybe even May. This is very disappointing as a fan of the sport, but it is what it is. I am still anxiously waiting to hear when the start of the season will be played, and will be very excited when it does start, even if it is later than anticipated. Well, this was a different MLB rundown than usual, with a lot of news on the postponing of baseball and not about baseball itself. And for the up and coming weeks of MLB rundown, the content will be a little different without any games going on. So each week, I'll probably just be talking about when the season will be underway. This was Stealing Strikes, where we got all things baseball. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.